Hey, everybody, what's up? I am really excited to come back again. This is my third Monday in a row. I think it might be my fourth, where I'm going live on Monday night to talk about what else? Money. But this week, I wanted to talk about this book that I recently just finished. It is from a good friend of mine named Erin Lowry. She was on my podcast, Mind Your Money, early on. She was one of my early guests. And she has just been somebody in the personal finance space who's been writing for a long time, blogging, speaking, somebody that I definitely look up to. And she put out her third book, which is called Broke Millennial Talks Money, Script Stories and Advice to Navigate Awkward Financial Conversations. So I want to talk about this because I feel like awkward money conversations is something that everybody deals with, but nobody talks about openly or like honestly, at least maybe. I don't know. People might talk about it, but they don't keep it real. And in this book, she really does a good job of keeping it real. And so many, as I was reading it, you guys could see like all my little post-it notes. So many things came to mind from while I was reading her book from like my own life. And I just wanted to share some of them and then like just, kind of chat with people that are joining and see how everybody's doing. And also just kind of hear some of the awkward money conversations or awkward money stories that you guys might have also. And then it depends on how many people show up. If you guys want to come through and show up, I might even give away my copy because I did already finish the book. So I might randomly pick somebody who can hit me up via email, send me their address, and then I will mail you the book because I've held on to it for a little bit after I finished reading it. But at this point, I'm like, well, might as well pass it forward, pay it forward so that other people can read it too. It's really, really good. So I'm going to jump into talking about the first chapter. Well, part one, which is talking about money at work. And it's funny because she starts with saying that a lot of people were shocked that she started with talking about work and money. But honestly, I think that is kind of like the right place to start because it's just so weird when you're in the workplace and people are talking about money like it's like normal and it's not normal for everybody. So I don't know, like I feel like that's a good place to start because whether you have your money together, whether you don't, whether your family has money or not, whether you know about personal finance or not, it doesn't matter. Everybody got a job. Everybody needs to have a job. So everybody works. So it's a great place to start. And especially because most people get money directly from their job. So that's usually where you get your livelihood, where you get your paycheck. So it makes sense to start there. I think at least. Oh, look at you guys popping in here in the chat. Hey, what's up, Alex? I want the book, please. I think I might give it away. Stick around. I think I might give it away because I already finished it. So what's the point of holding on? Hey, Alex. Hector's here. Okay, you guys are gonna play virtual rock, paper, scissors for the book. I don't even know how that's gonna work. Okay, so what I wanted to start with was this quick story, just to tell you guys this story about how one of my early jobs after I was a teacher for my first job out of college, and then I did one other job after that, and then I decided to change like careers. So I went to this nonprofit organization, and I remember it was my first week on the job. And I walked into the office. I was just getting like acquainted with like where I was going to sit, where I was going to work, what my job was, who I was working with. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, you got to meet such and such. She's out. You haven't met her yet. She's the only person you haven't met. She's out because she's pregnant. She's out on maternity leave. Oh, and by the way, you have to give like $10. Everybody's giving $10 because we're doing like a drawing, a bet to see who's going to guess the date that she had a baby. The woman who was on maternity leave, they were going to guess to see who was the closest bet on her on the date that she gives birth to the baby. I was like, wait, hold up a second. I gotta give who $10? I don't even know this woman who's pregnant. I just started today and they didn't know me. They don't know my life. I was packing my lunch. I was on a serious debt payoff journey. Like at that time I had all my credit card debt. I was struggling. I didn't even have any money. I would literally leave my house with my Metro card, my lunch, and like maybe an apple for a snack and a water bottle and my laptop. Boom. Like I was like, I'm sorry, wait, y'all got the wrong one. Who's giving who $10? I was not like, I didn't like that. And I felt like it put my first day, I wasn't really my first day, maybe like my third or fourth day on the job, but it made that first week like a little awkward for me because I didn't want to be like, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable giving $10 to a bet where I don't know, because I'm new to the job. Like, what do I look like saying, no, I'm not going to participate in this office lottery pool thing? And for $10, which to a lot of people doesn't even seem like a lot of money, but they didn't know my situation. So I don't know. I was like a little bit upset about that. And I feel like when I was reading, I got to this chapter like talking about money at work. And as she's going through the description of like how tough it is, and people don't really bring up money around their coworkers. And unless you're like a very good friend with one coworker, you might talk about money with them, but it's not very socially like acceptable to bring up money. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's why I didn't have the courage to speak up, because it's kind of this taboo thing in the workplace to talk about like money like that. And I know like some offices make it super normal to do like a white elephant or some type of holiday gift trade, gift exchange or something. But I hadn't, again, I was coming from teaching, so that was not my experience. Anyway, that particular experience, it didn't really make me feel like comfortable. And I felt like if I would open my mouth to say something about how I wasn't cool with it, it would have been awkward. So I don't know. I just wonder about all these like little moments where people might feel awkward about something around money and they don't want to say it because they feel like you're not supposed to say it. But now, if it was me today, I would definitely be like, oh, no, thank you. I'm not going to participate in that because A, I don't know who the heck that person, I haven't met her yet. And B, like, I'm very strict about my budget and I've already budgeted this month. So, if it was next month, if it was the month after next, maybe you could give me a heads up, but that's just not in my plans right now. Boom, keep it moving. Like I would have no shame. I wouldn't even blink thinking. I would just say that without hesitation. Now, being the person that I am now, I have a lot more confidence to talk about my finances. But at that time, I don't think I could have. I was too young. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Should somebody stay in their job for the money, especially somebody young and in college or in college? That is a really hard question. I want to say if your job is bearable, like if you can deal with it and it's not causing you mental health issues, it's not causing you harm physically or mentally. If there's not anybody who's belittling you, talking to you like you are like you're on the wall or something, like a painting, respecting you and treating you like a human and developing your skills, even if it's not something that you're like passionate about. If it pays well and it's a decent job that you can continue to do and you need the money, like when you're in college, then keep doing it. Like I personally don't feel like, like that's a bad thing. Like I personally don't feel like it's bad. But at the same time, I do feel like a lot of people are just like staying in a job that's miserable because they just want that paycheck. So to me, it's a balance. It's like, don't just stay somewhere because they pay you a lot of money if they treat you like crap. And I know a lot of people that have been in a toxic workplace and they stay because they don't feel like they have no choice. So I think that's why it's so important to like assess your situation. Are you in a financial situation where you have enough money to like leave and find another job, or at least to start job hunting? And if it's not an issue, it's not that negative, it's not toxic or anything, you just don't really like love it, well, keep working, keep collecting your coins. And in the meantime, start thinking about what else you might do, right? But I don't think it means that you have to like leave your job just because you're, like passionate about it. Sometimes work is work and a paycheck is a paycheck until you're really at that level where you're like, okay, now I'm only going to take jobs that I love. Like that's a privilege to be able to take a job that you love. And I think it's interesting now with social media, everybody's an entrepreneur, everybody's a content creator, everybody's making money on the internet, but everybody is not so privileged to be able to wake up every day and do something that they love to make money. I feel like I have that privilege. I'm very lucky, but I recognize that a lot of people, my family, my friends, they got to go to work, and that might not be exciting every day, but it pays the bills and it puts food on the table and allows them to run a successful household and take care of their kids. And so I understand that we have to have this like balance when we're making those decisions. Definitely, it is scary. All these decisions are scary, man. Whew. What's the name and author of the book? Oh, here you go. It's called Broke Millennial Talks Money, Scripts, Stories, and Advice to Navigate Awkward Financial Conversations. The author is Erin Lowry. She's known as Broke Millennial. That's like her nickname or like her brand. She's great. She has 2 other books. One is Broke Millennial, Transform Your Financial Life. And the other one is Broke Millennial Talks Investing or Teaches Investing. So she has one about just transforming your financial life, getting your budget right, getting everything. And that was the first book from her that I read. And then she has the investing one, which is part 2. I stayed at a job that I didn't like just because the people made it bearable. You know what? I feel that. Who's that, Jesus? I feel that. I feel that I have definitely done that before. There was a job that I really did not like. There were 2 girls that I worked with that were my heart. I love those girls. Like I would show up at the office and I didn't really want to be there, but they would just make it so fun. And they were just so sweet. They, like, I just feel like sometimes the people make it bearable. I agree. And they will carry you through. But I still reached a point where I was like, I just can't keep doing it. Like they kept me there long enough, and after that I was like, I'm ready to move on. But I agree. I think people having a connection to the people that you work with can make the job a lot more bearable. So that's why it's important to have those relationships. Don't go to work every day, do your job, go home, mind your business. Like, see if there's people that you can build bonds with, because that can help you to make your life feel a little bit more joyful, especially when you have a rough job that like is not the business. That's not like a really fun job. Daniel said, I just found your channel today and I finished your credit card playlist and I noticed that you're live. Welcome, Daniel. What's up? Well, I'm so glad you found my channel. And I've been doing live every Monday night since starting in January. I'm going to try to keep that up throughout the year. And I also have a couple of videos that are backed up that I need to post in the coming like week or two about some of my podcast episodes that I've done. But I have not done any new video recording specifically for this year. So if you guys have ideas for specific videos that you want, about anything really. A lot of people like my credit videos, but I'm talking about credit, saving, investing, budgeting, a lot of things. So if you have a specific topic that you're like, I really want a video about this, put it in the chat or like hit me up on Instagram, because I'm generating ideas now. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to literally just list out all the videos I'm going to make and start batching them, put them on the channel. But right now it's just the podcast. And then I'm going live on Mondays. Yeah, I'm going to try to do every Monday night. We'll see. Oh yeah, I definitely did 2 Mondays already, and this is probably the 3rd or maybe the 4th. More investing videos. Love it. All right, I got y'all. Yeah, I could talk about investing forever and ever and ever. Seriously. I'll do investing next. Okay, so here's this one that I thought was a really good topic, because she said, should you share your salary with your coworkers and with your friends? And I was like, ooh, this one's hard. I don't mind sharing my salary with my friends, pretty much my family, my friends, and they know how much I make. But I remember one time I was in the car. I put this post-it note because I wanted to tell the story, car story. I was in the car with a coworker of mine, and it was a work event. And I don't have my driver's license. For those of you who were here on my first call at the beginning of January for the New Year, New Goals, I don't have a driver's license. I'm a New York City girl through and through. I never got my license. I used to just take the train everywhere with my Metro card. So I'm trying to learn how to drive this year and get my license. But that's besides the point. I was in a work trip, and because I don't have my license, I had to get in the car with my coworker, and he was driving around, and I was just, in the rental car. Anyway, we were on our way to a work event. I think it was like a dinner. And he asked me, how much money do you make? And I was like, Oscar, excuse me. Like, I didn't know. I was like, are you supposed to ask me that? Like, are we supposed to be talking about this? And it was just me and him in the car. And it was so awkward. It was like, I'm not prepared for this. You didn't prepare me. He didn't say, hey, is it okay if I ask you something a little personal? Like, can I ask you how much you make? He just straight up, so how much money do they pay you? Do you make? And it, like some of these moments, like you don't even know what to say. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I had a feeling, like a little feeling, that I was making more money than him and that he was going to be mad. This is like weird. So I didn't want to say anything. And so I ended up like, just like saying, like rounding down to like the base of my salary, like, oh, like about 65, 70,000. I didn't say specifically my salary. And I think that, again, like now I would have just been honest, but I think some jobs you have to be careful because there's certain contracts that you might sign that says you can't talk about your salary. And like Aaron talks about that in the book, where you have to be really careful about the options around like speaking about this at work. Certain states might have different laws than others. And so it's really important when you're signing paperwork and contracts and joining a new job that what you're signing to, what you're agreeing to. So that was one of those experiences I had that made me realize how awkward it can be to not be prepared when somebody asks you something that personal like that, especially a coworker. So, these types of conversations are so important, not just for you to think about, but also to like really play it out in your head. Like, okay, somebody asked me how much money I make at work. What am I going to say? Put yourself in that moment, because when somebody does ask you, you're not going to be like, excuse me, wait, what did you say? It's not going to be you're going to be caught off guard. You will have pictured in your mind this exact conversation, and you'll be prepared with exactly what you want to say back. Because I remember I was not very graceful when he asked me. I was like, because again, you're shocked and you don't really know what you want to say. So I think the more we think ahead about these kinds of conversations and prepare ourselves with like what we're going to say before it ever even happens. If it never happens, never happens. But if it does, you're prepared and you know exactly what to say. So I love that this book has like scripts like very specific things that you can say. Like, here is what you should say. Here are questions you can ask. Here are quotes that you can literally copy. You can just repeat these words, and it helps you have these awkward conversations. So you don't feel like you're, like a deer in the headlights when somebody asks you about money. Oh man, y'all got some questions up in here. Let's see. I got no tips for you about tax fraud. I'm not about that life. I clear my account with the IRS every year. I ain't playing those games. I just started learning about investing for the first time. Awesome. Listen, I'm going to start doing more investing videos. I know a lot of people have questions about investing. I'll tell you right now, the reason why I've only posted a limited number is because with investing, you have to be very careful, because I'm not an investment advisor. I am just a financial educator. So what I'm teaching is like, if you went to school and you had a class about money, I would basically be the teacher. Like, it's just, I'm a teacher. I'm not licensed to talk to people about specific investment vehicles that make sense for them or to give you advice. So it's very, like, you have to be really careful about what you say and what you post. And so I've kind of just like done the basics with investing. But I think as I've gotten a little bit more experience talking about investing and teaching about investing, I feel more comfortable and more confident to post more. So I'll definitely do more, and especially collaborating with other amazing content creators that do investing, a lot of investing content. That's right. If you ever feel like you don't want to go to work on Monday, it's time to change jobs. I feel you, Jesus. Listen, I used to be like that when I worked in a specific school that I was not happy at. And I remember every night, Sunday night, I would be like, oh, like I would already start getting anxiety about going to work the next day. And it's true, that does not feel good. It's not good for your mental health. You don't get to sleep well because you're anxious and up all night thinking about the next day. And it's true. I think that did take a toll on my health. And I'm glad I decided, like, okay, this is not the right career for me, because even though I loved it, it was very stressful for me. I start investing when you're 50 years old. What's wrong with that? Honestly, I don't think there's any age that's too late, because at the end of the day, every year that your money is not being invested, it's sitting in a savings account or a checking account. So, at any rate, I feel like there are ways to minimize the risk of investing and at least get your money working for you a little bit more than it would in the stock market. So if a little bit more than it would in the bank, in the traditional bank. So if the stock market is a little too risky, there's other things. There's the bond market. You can invest in bonds. You can invest in funds. There's so many ways to not take the high level of risk that you take when you buy a stock or when you buy a group of stocks. So I feel like there's, that's not like, there's no age limit. Like, I mean, and even at the end of the day, there's certain accounts that you can leave behind to your children, to your grandchildren, to your family. So at the end of the day, investing is definitely about creating generational wealth and wealth building. There's no age that's too late to start doing that. Like, any age to start doing that is great. Oh, this is so great. You guys have some really awesome stories here. I love this. I love these stories. Asking coworkers for their salary info. Ooh, Abel, good question. So in the book, there's a really great point where she talks about how to do that in a graceful way. I'm going to try to find it. Basically, she interviewed this woman named Caitlin. And Caitlin had a viral video. I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was a video of her when she finally paid off all her debt. She put on a purple cat suit. It was like very, very tight, full body purple suit. And she was jumping up and down with money guns, throwing money everywhere. And she was like celebrating that she paid off like so much debt, like hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And there was like a Lizzo song playing in the background. Her video that she posted went viral. And then she was one of the people that was interviewed in the book. And what she said was essentially that when you're talking to your coworkers, of course, it can get a little bit awkward for you to ask. But if you're going to do it, first of all, make sure that you get permission first, or that you at least acknowledge that it's a little awkward, so that you're not like doing what that guy did to me in the car, where he's like, so how much do you make? Where it's like, excuse me. You want to start by saying, hey, is it okay for me to ask you about your salary? I'm not going to ask for specifics. What I want to know is, do you make over or under this amount of money? So for example, let's say I just got a job offer from a company and I know somebody that works in that company. I can call that person up and say, hey, I just got a job offer. And in my head, let me say like the job offer is $50,000. Then what I might say to that person, I might call them and say, hey, I'm just wondering about your salary. I don't want to ask specifics, of course. I want to be respectful, but I just wanted to know, do you make over or under $50,000? And then if they say, or 47 or 49 or 40 or 51, whatever number, right? But like that way you get an idea if they're over or under that benchmark. And I like that strategy, that they call it the over under strategy. So pick a number and ask, do they make over that much or do they make under that much? That way the person doesn't feel like they just told you their salary. They didn't really give you the specific number. So I like, that was one of the strategies in the book. And the whole conversation that she had with Caitlin and a few other people that talked about, talking about your money with your coworkers, they have really helpful, like specific scripts and quotes. So yeah, definitely I would say check it out, because just even that section is just so helpful with some of the wording to say, so that it doesn't feel like it's, you're being intrusive or whatever. How do I help my girlfriend budget on her credit card? Honestly, helping other people is hard because they have to want it. Like if you want it for her and she doesn't want it for herself, nothing's gonna happen, right? Like she has to want it for herself. So what I usually do is I will send a bunch of resources. Like every day I'll send a link, or every other day, not to like spam them, but like every few days, send a link, or be like, hey babe, come sit with me. Let's watch this together. Like, and watch, a short TED talk or a YouTube video about budgeting or something. Just, so how do you feel about that? Do you think we could do that? Like you could just slowly like introducing to them, like how so many people are doing this, and this is so smart and this is so easy. Look at how people do it. There's so many ways that we could do it. Like, why not? Let's talk about it. Why not? Let's start. So versus you just trying to tell her what to do, or trying to like, scare her into doing it. I'm gonna break up with you if you don't do this. Like, no, none of that is positive. None of that is helpful. And yeah, like I think for the most part, it has to come from within that person. Like your girlfriend has to want it. So basically try to get her to be interested in budgeting and learning about using her credit card, and then she'll want to do it herself. So you don't have to convince her. I save money and then it goes away. How do I stop that? Listen, who's that? Lourdes. That's a real problem. Honestly, the best thing you can do is separate it, completely separate it from everything else that you have going on. So what I did when I first started trying to save up, my first big goal was $1,000, and then it was $5,000. My first 1,000 was so hard. It was so hard. I wasn't making a lot of money. I was teaching. I was making like 40, maybe under $50,000. And that was really hard because you're putting in $50 or $100 every time you can. So it's going to take months and months and months, maybe even over a year or two, for you to actually save up that goal. But at the end of the day, you're going to be more likely to succeed if you put the money aside and then forget about it. Literally forget where it is. Forget that you put it there. So if you have it in a savings account that's linked to your checking account, all you're gonna do is you're gonna put the money in the savings account, and then you're just gonna set up a transfer and just transfer it back out, because it's so easy to do that when they're connected. So what I would do is I opened up a savings account in a totally separate bank that was not the same bank where I have my credit cards, not the same bank where I have my checking account. It's a totally separate bank, and it's only a savings account. I did not open a checking account with them. And then I would transfer the money out into the savings account automatically every time I got a paycheck on payday. Before I could even really spend any money, boom, money was already moved, $100 into the savings account. So if you keep seeing it, you're going to be more likely to spend it. So separate it. And then the other thing I've recently been hearing from a lot of people, Erin mentions this in the book, and also I hear this a lot from Instagram and YouTube influencers. Berna says this a lot. Name the account something really specific. Really specific. So your brain, when you see that, if you're about to cheat and take money out, you're going to remember why you're putting that money there in the first place, and it will motivate you and remind you to keep going. So for some people, it's their kid. Maybe they want to do a birthday party for their baby, or they want to save for their baby's college fund, or they're trying to get a new house and they're saving for a down payment. Name the fund, like our first home down payment, or baby Sally's birthday party, so that's specific, so that when you see the money, you're like, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not stealing money away from baby Sally's birthday party. Like, I want her to have her birthday party. I'm not going to steal her money. Target date funds for investing. What do you feel? I think it depends on how you are as an investor. If you don't want to put in the work to go in every few years and check your allocation to see how much you have in there and what types of investments are in there, and to reallocate things and rebalance and move things around, if you don't want to do that, if you literally just want to automatically put the money in and forget about it until you retire, then target date funds are going to be a little bit more costly, but because you're paying for the convenience of putting your money in there and then literally forgetting about it until the day you retire. So if you want to be more active, you want to like come in and check up, and every few years you make sure you move money and you prepare yourself for retirement, then I would say you can save money and just go straight with index funds that are not target date funds. But I think it depends on you as an investor and how involved you're going to be, actually going to be, not even how involved you want to be, because you might want to be involved and then you end up not doing it because you're busy and other things. So be real with yourself about, are you actually going to log in every year, every 6 months, every, whatever, to check up on your investments, or are you just going to want to forget about it? That's what you got to ask yourself. I like that approach. Thanks. Listen, honestly, I just read books. That's what, thank the books. I just try to read so many books because I feel like these ideas are not just going to pop into my head. And the more books I read, the more ideas I get about how to, be more comfortable with money and things like that. Yes, people wanting you to co-sign for them is awkward. Michael, what a good point. Actually, I have a god sister a few years ago who asked me to co-sign a loan for her. And I had actually co-signed a loan. I talked about this on the Financial Diet. They interviewed me for their podcast, Financial Confessions. And I talked about my horror story with my co-signing of a loan that was not even for a family member. It was a friend. It was a family friend. And it was like my best friend, and her little sister needed to go back to school. So I co-signed. That was a huge mistake. I didn't really, know what I was doing. I learned from that. And then a few years after that, I got out of that situation. A god sister of mine asked me to co-sign a loan for her. And I just felt horrible because I knew she needed the help. I knew that she was going through rough times, but I just could not put my name on the loan. I couldn't, because it would be basically me saying that I am able to and willing to pay for the loan payments if she couldn't. And that's not true. I wasn't willing or able to do that. So at that time, I had just finished paying off my debt. What do I look like going back into debt? So I remember I had to tell her no. And I said no very kindly. I was like, listen, I'm so sorry, but I recently co-signed something and I just got out of it and I'm just getting out of debt. Like, I wish I could help you, but I'm not going to be able to co-sign. Find somebody within your family a little closer. And she said, I've asked everybody, please, can you reconsider? And she kept asking me again and again. And I know it hurts, but that, you have to, it's hard, but at the end of the day, you have to be honest with yourself. It's not fair for you to do what's not right for you, to do something that you think is helping someone else. Like, at the end of the day, we have to put ourselves first financially so that we can then later be able to help out, and I'm glad I didn't co-sign, but it was definitely awkward when she kept asking me and I kept having to say, no, I'm so sorry. No, I'm so sorry. I was like, girl, please stop asking me. I already said no. I already said no. Any experiences with money you wish you didn't spend? Oh, do I wish I didn't spend? So many examples. Oh my God. Literally all through college, all throughout my early 20s. First of all, the biggest two categories: food, number one, and clothes, number two. Food, I used to, when I was a teacher, I don't know who I thought I was. I thought I was J-Lo or something. I was ordering food every night, ordering sushi, ordering wine, ordering, Indian food, whatever, Japanese food, anything, any, restaurants in the neighborhood. I would go on Seamless. I would order it. This is before DoorDash. DoorDash was not a thing, but back then. But I would use Seamless and just order food all the time. Just put it on my credit card. And because I was working really hard, I felt like I don't have time to cook. I felt like I don't have time, to prepare meals and stuff. So I need to buy food so I can keep working. And that was a negative mentality that I had, because I could have made time for my food, made time for my health, and I didn't. So definitely food is number one. Wasting a lot of money on brunch. I used to go to bottomless brunch all the time, obviously before COVID. And when I was younger, all my girlfriends said, oh, for somebody's birthday, brunch. For for celebration, for something, brunch. It was always a brunch. A bottomless brunch. All brunch. I was like, every weekend going to brunch. And you spend so much money and it's crazy because, you're basically paying for the markup on the alcohol and the service, you're tipping and the service fees, and the food is so overpriced. So I just feel like brunches, I wish I could take back every brunch, maybe one or two that I actually enjoyed. Take all the other brunches back, give me all my money back. And then also shopping for clothes, shoes, boots, purses. You know how many purses I bought? I don't even know where they are. Where are the purses? I don't even know, because I've given them away. I've donated. I've given them to people. I don't have those things that I spent. So I spent so much money that I wish I didn't spend on those things. Definitely food and clothes, top two, and shoes that I'm like, I don't even know where those shoes are anymore. Actually, I do know, because every time my mom does a purge, she'll go through all of our stuff and send a big box to Dominican Republic. And every time she's doing the boxes, I'm like, oh, another box, mommy? I call her, you need another box? I got a lot of shoes here for the box. You tell me the next box, and then I'll put them all in the bag. and give them to her, because she's always sending boxes with clothes and shoes, things that are in good condition for people in the Dominican. So that is probably where most of those shoes ended up going when I stopped wearing them. And many of them were still in perfectly good condition. I just wasn't wearing them as much. And I had so many shoes. I don't need that many pairs of shoes. Like, it's ridiculous how many things we feel like we need to have. You only need a small number. You don't even have all those shoes. Juan says, I just want to thank you for all you do for us. I started my financial journey watching your videos since 2019. It's led me to an amazing, great credit score. Oh, that is awesome. Juan, I am so happy for you. Congratulations. You thanking me, but honestly, thank yourself for doing the work. A lot of people come to my YouTube channel, they watch my videos, and then they keep scrolling. It takes a certain person to watch the video and then go, boom, yep, I'm doing this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lower my utilization less than 10%. I'm going to stop spending. I'm going to stop. Like, it's actually the action part is what's hard. Watching the videos and learning the stuff is not the hard part. That's the easy part. It's actually following up on it. So you did the work. You know what I'm saying? You did the work. It's really hard being an immigrant. No bank will give you any type of credit. That is so true. Who's that? Nahui? Listen, I absolutely feel you. It is very, very, very hard when you are, when you immigrate to the US to start establishing yourself with financial institutions. So at first you might have to, mostly transact in cash, which is so frustrating, because if you do want to have like a credit or a debit or like a plastic card that you can use for online shopping and things like that, oftentimes you have to buy a card and then load it up with cash. And then they come with so many fees. So I hate that. I hate that you end up paying more because it's not accessible to you. It is so frustrating. And that's one of the things that I really want to start learning more about is what are the companies, what are the community organizations, where are the spaces where there is community-based work being done to help people that don't have that traditional access to the typical bank account, typical credit cards, typical loans and things that things that you need. So I'm on it. This year I'm going to be trying to learn as much as I can. I was spending like crazy, but I'm stopping this year. Yes, stop this year. This is the year to stop. Well, actually 2020 was probably the year to stop because you can't go nowhere. We were in quarantine. So I don't know. A lot of people were still buying a lot of Amazon packages, but my ex-wife always sending clothes back to DR. Listen, this is a cultural thing. We can't stop. We have to keep sending things back and help them out. You guys have some crazy comments up in here. I'm going to skip some of these, but thank you for taking the time to spread helpful information. What's the end goal for someone who is investing, long-term investing? Do you just cash out? Well, that depends. Who's that, Alo? That depends. I think it depends on what your specific goals are. So for me, I'll tell you what I want to do. Eventually, I want to be able to invest in a property, in real estate, right? But right now in New York City, there's just no way. You need like $1 million. It's possible to find something for under $1 million, but it's very, very difficult. So it's either I leave New York City to invest in property outside of the New York City area where it's a little more affordable, or I rent for very, very cheap, which is what I do now, relative to my income, and invest as much as I can. Then in a few years, those investments will have grown so much that I can pull out money and make a down payment for a property. Or, hey, depending on how my investments work out, take out cash and drop cash on the property and not have to even get a mortgage. That's the real hashtag goal right there. But it depends on how aggressive I can be with investing and how my investments grow. Other people are like, no, I want to invest specifically for retirement and I don't want to touch that money until retirement. And then there's something called the 4% rule, which is as long as you can take 4% out every year, you and still continue to allow the rest of it to keep growing, then you should be able to retire and live off of 4% of what you invest. So that's why a lot of people say $1 million, because then you can take out $40,000 a year and live off of $40,000 without having to work for that money. So that's the 4% rule. That's why you want to try to, invest as much as you can, grow that number real big, and then you can live off of 4%. And that's, again, 4% every year. So whatever that amount is, you'll take out, 4% of the total each year so that you can, have some income that you don't have to work for. Would your credit score drop if you use more than 10% to 15%? Yes, if you was 10% and then you all of a sudden goes up to 20, you're going to see it hurt your credit score unless you pay it right away and it never gets reported, which means you have to pay it before the statement closing date. Y'all have so many videos about this stuff. Look at the video that is called how I rack up credit, how I rack up rewards, miles or points without messing up my credit score or something like that. Look for the one that says rewards points, okay? Because that's the one that I talk about how I spend a lot to get rewards points, but then I pay it before the statement closing date so it doesn't hurt my utilization. How do you navigate gift giving conversations when paying down debt? It's some say save, pay debt, and give. For me, Abel, that's a really good question. For me, I am the type of person that I'm very honest. I posted a video like 2 years ago where I told the world on my YouTube channel that I was no longer doing gifts. My family does what do you call it? Like an elephant, little elephant exchange, or I guess it's not really elephant. It's more like Secret Santa. Basically, everybody pulls a name out the hat, and then that person whose name you pulled, you have to get them a present. And then we have a little budget. Every year we set the amount. You have to stay under that amount, and every year that's the price that you spend, and you only get that one present to get that person a present. But some people tend to go and buy other people presents too if they want to, but it's not an obligation. And I realized while I was paying off debt, and even a little after that, every year I kept on breaking my budget, specifically buying holiday gifts. And I kept asking myself, well, why is it? Well, because I'm trying to buy my mom a gift, my dad a gift, all 8 brothers and sisters a gift, plus my nieces and nephews, I have 9 of them, plus the husband or wives of my brothers and sisters, that's another, 7, 8. Of course, just my immediate family, let alone my friends, and then, coworkers. There was no way that I was not going to spend thousands of dollars because there's so many people. So I was like, it's not logical. So I was like, I'm just going to stop. I don't expect gifts from anyone. I'm not going to give gifts. I will participate in the Secret Santa. And that's where I draw the line. Okay. So don't be asking me for presents. I'm not giving y'all presents. And I, not to be rude or mean or anything, but it's more so it's just an easy rule that I applied to my own life. And then people just know that. And sometimes I will do something sweet, like I'll either just get everybody a little small thing one year, but it's very rare. And it's, I just don't want to be the type of person that's expecting gifts or trying to impress people with gifts. What's more impressive than giving somebody a present? Spending time with them, calling them, finding out how they're doing, how they're feeling, how was their week. I want to make more time for things like that instead of just trying to buy them a present and just, make them feel like I love them and they're special because of this present. The present doesn't mean anything. Okay. It's, do you actually care? Do you actually put in the time, spend the time with them? That's, to me, what matters more for me with my family and friends. Seriously. Look, I'm not the only one. A bunch of you guys are saying they stopped buying presents too. I stopped. It's just not worth it for me. But listen, don't expect gifts and I won't give you one. That's it. Everybody saves money. And the thing is too, there's going to be other times, for example, and this came up in the book, which is why it hit me. There's chapter 6. She says, let's talk about weddings. I remember when my sister was getting married and she was planning the bachelorette party, and she told all her friends and sisters that it was going to, be that her maid of honor was planning it and that it was all going to be emailed. When the email came out, it was almost $2,000 or probably a little bit more per person for flights, for food, for the hotel stay, for travel, for all the things, the games, activities, the food. And I'm like, you know what? I don't mind it because at that time I couldn't afford it, and I wanted to go away on the vacation with my sisters, with, her friends and everything. And I wanted to do it. But if it was a few years before, I would not have been able to do it. Why? Because I was still wasting so much money on Christmas presents every year. I would have been wasting money on clothes, shoes, perfume, buying all these things that I stopped buying, and just not being purposeful with my money. And which means that when a big thing does come that I really want to do it, I don't have to say no. Those big, special, important things, I will never forget that trip. I cannot tell you what I bought my mom for Christmas in 2009. I don't know. I don't remember. But did I forget my sister's bachelorette party from all those years ago? I will never forget it. So to me, I've changed my values and my mindset about where is it that I want to put my dollars and where is it that I want to funnel my money, because it's definitely not on buying people presents. Going on a trip, spending money and experience, those things you won't forget, and you make memories with people, and it's special and it's meaningful, and they have pictures and videos, and you always have that, versus just buying somebody something to show them that you have money or that you care about them. And here's an expensive gift. I think it's just not for me. It was just not meant for me to care about that stuff. So I'm glad that I don't. Oh yes, personal and professional goals for 2021. I definitely have a lot of goals. I put a lot of my goals in the video that I posted in the first Monday of the year, where I talked about I want to read more books, I want to learn how to drive, I want to publish a book. There's so many things this year that I'm really trying to get serious about. And then there's also money goals and things that I want to focus on. But I think at the end of the year, at the end of the day, if you just put yearly goals, it's really hard, for you to stick to them and remind yourself of them. So what I'm trying to do is actually check back in on my goals every month and set monthly goals so that I can, so I can catch myself if I'm really on pace. So far I've been really good with reading. I'm on my second book for 2021. So that's good because it means that, I've already read, 2 books in the first 2 weeks of January. So if I keep reading, if I finish the second book and start my third book next week, I will be on track for my goal, which was 48 books in a year. So I feel like, those monthly goals and weekly goals are a little bit more, manageable to me than like these yearly goals that you just forget about it. Then as the year comes, you're like, oh, did I reach it? Did I not? I don't know. It's just better to, set smaller goals. There's chapter 7 in this book. How to ask your parents if you will need to take care of them financially. I'm not going to lie. This is a great chapter for a lot of people. But when I read that title, I was like, there's no need to ask them, honey. I know that I have to take care of them financially. There's no question. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that they don't know. They don't talk to their parents about money. They don't talk to their parents about what they have or don't have. And I think this chapter is really important. It wasn't necessarily, it didn't necessarily speak to me personally because my family and I already sat down to think about my parents and come up with accounts to create, we've done a lot of that because we lost my grandfather and we kind of learned from that experience for my parents. But, and I know, my brothers and sisters and we already know that my parents don't have money. So we have to take care of them in their retirement. It's not a question and it's not, we're not wondering, we know. So for a lot of people out there, they might not know and they might think that their parents are going to take care of themselves. And then they come to find out that their parents are still, financially unstable or maybe still owe a lot of debt or maybe, they haven't paid the house off. There's so many things. And unless you talk about it before they get elderly, before they are in need of support, in need of help, that's what really matters. Making time for those conversations earlier rather than later, sooner rather than later. So that's a really good chapter 2. And then the last chapter that I say I really, really like is chapter 9, why we normally avoid talking about money at the dinner table. After chapter 9, pretty much every other chapter, which I think is part 4 of the book, it's all about relationships and money. It's like going from a casual relationship to a serious relationship, money and marriage. And then she talks about fighting, when you're fighting with your partner about money. There's so many really good sections anyway. And then she has all these scripts. So I'm definitely going to give the book away. I'm going to give it away in 5 minutes and then I'm going to go because we've been on here for a minute. But let me go see the last few questions that you guys have for me here. Dollar Tree saves so much money for cleaning supplies. Listen, they got the same wipes that they have at Walgreens, okay? The same wipes. I get my Lysol wipes right there. And sometimes I even get the ones that are not even name brand. They do the same job. If I was in NYC, I would show you how to drive. Thank you. It's hard. Listen, you know what's hard about it is that if you don't have a car, then you don't have a car. So you can't just go and practice driving, right? You don't have access to a car. And if you're new to driving, people who have a car, they don't want to lend you their car because they feel like you're going to crash it. You're going to beat it up. You're going to back up into a tree or something, right? So there's not a lot of people in my life that are like, sure, yeah, you can take my car or I'll take you around driving because I'm new. I'm a new driver. And so it's so hard. It's like this catch-22. How am I going to get a car if I don't have a license? But how am I going to get a license if I don't have a car? I'm just I don't understand. But I did book classes to sit with an instructor and go driving around in one of the driver's ed classes with the little cone on the top of the hat. On the top of the car. But it's fine. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna learn this. This is gonna be the year I'm gonna learn. Fernando said, what book is that again? This is Broke Millennial Talks Money, Script Stories and Advice to Navigate Awkward Financial Conversations by Erin Lowry. She's known on social media as Broke Millennial. She's really great. Or Broke Millennial Blog. I think on Instagram, she's Broke Millennial Blog, but she's great. She's amazing. I also interviewed her on my podcast earlier back in I want to say April of 2020. Definitely go back and listen to that conversation because she's great. There's so many tips I didn't know about driving that I learned from a professional, and I was driving before that. You see, Hopeful Human, thank you for that tip. Now I'm glad I've signed up for those classes because that's what I need to do. I need to learn the professional way. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to share. How are we going to wrap this up? Let me see. Tell me one money conversation that you are it's awkward and you're nervous to talk about it, but you're going to do it either in the next month, few weeks, this week, like you're going to commit to having a conversation about money with somebody, even if it's going to be a little uncomfortable, whether that's your boss asking for a raise, whether that's your boyfriend and girlfriend and telling them they need to learn how to budget with their credit card, whether that's your mom and dad asking them if they're good for retirement or not. What is an awkward money conversation that you know you need to have? Maybe you've been putting it off, but like, nah, it's time. 2021, it's time to make that conversation happen and to get serious about it. I want to see what your answers are. And then I'm going to pick somebody, and whoever it is, you get to keep the book. Let's see. What are y'all answers going to be? Oh, you're welcome. Good luck in 2021. I'll do my best to keep up your live streams and looking forward to more financial and personal advice. Love it. Honestly, that's what I'm here for. More financial advice, honestly, is what it is. I have to talk to my boyfriend about getting a job before his unemployment ends. Ooh, that is a good one. A lot of people are about to go off of unemployment because of COVID and that whole CARES Act kind of phasing out. It's time to start getting serious about these jobs, fixing up your resume, going online, going to Indeed, Idealist, going all these, LinkedIn, all these steps that you can take to start making those connections and start getting those applications out. Definitely. Talking to my kids about investing. Yes, another one. Estate planning with my parents. Yes. Oh my God, that is such a good one. Conversation with my husband about increasing our incomes to afford buying a home in LA. Honey, yes. Income, people like to talk a lot about how if you want to save money, you need to cut your spending. But honestly, when you make a lot more money, it's so much easier. It is so much easier. People don't admit it, but it's so hard to cut, trim, cut your budget, cut here, cut there, until a certain point where you can't cut no more, okay? Because you need to pay your rent, you need to buy food, you need to pay the electric bill. But when you start thinking about increasing your income, ooh, that is changing the game. I love that one, Jane. I need to talk to a real estate agent about exactly what I need to do, what I have in cash in order to get into the housing market. Yes, I love that one, Rita. Moving from employee to business owner and investor. Marlon, this is the year. Yes. Hopeful Human said, asking to see what my mother's wishes are for her estate. Yes, yes, mama. Get on, mama. Get on her. She says that she has a will, but she literally wrote it. That isn't holding up in court. Sadly, no. But you can't take it and turn it into a nice formal court document that will hold up in court. There's a lot of websites to do that. But that's hilarious. I'll sit with my kids, tell them no more gifts. I'm going to start helping them invest instead. Love it. You're not saying no. You're saying instead of that, let's put this in. Should I borrow from my retirement to pay it off? Okay, I like these. I'm going to go with the very first person, which was Nahui Gonzalez. I just talked to my boyfriend about getting a job before his unemployment ends. Yes, yes, yes. I think this book is going to help you be able to talk to him. I think this book is going to help you guys have a great conversation. It has scripts. It has specific things that you can say. So hit me up. Email me and just make sure that you put your name so I remember you, Nahui Gonzalez, and I will just basically let you know what you need to do. That's pretty much it. I'm just gonna, you email me your address and I will send you the book. And that's it, you guys. That's all I wanted to do. I just finished it, so I wanted to make sure to come on here and give it away and pay it forward. Nahui, congratulations. I hope I'm saying your name right, and I hope you're excited about winning the book. And that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you guys. I'll be back next week on Monday. And if you didn't win this one, maybe you're going to win next time. Listen, that's not the only book I'm going to give away. I'm going to try to do more fun stuff on Mondays. So come back next week. And if I didn't answer your question and you put it in the chat, come back next week. Ask me again. I'm going to keep coming back and try to get all of them. I already talked about money goals. Last week, I talked a lot about the different stages that you need to try to reach in your teens, 20s, and 30s. And then this week, we talked about awkward money conversations. So I'm going to see, what different topics we're going to cover, but I'll make sure to keep coming back. Make it good, make it juicy. And that's it. Nahui Gonzalez is the winner. Hit me up, Nahui, on Instagram or email me at missbhelpful@gmail.com. Just tell me your name. And then I will, just ask for your address and I'll send you this in the mail. Okay. Congratulations. All right, you guys, it's 9 p.m. I'm about to go and wash my face, take my makeup off, and get ready to have a little bit of bone broth, some soup, and then I'm going to bed because I need to wake up early tomorrow. So good night, everybody. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you guys next week on Monday again.